Welcome to the channel and welcome to this review of Codex Chaos Knights that GW has very kindly sent me free of charge. You'll notice this is the special edition one. That's because they sent me the army box. The unboxing of the rest of the army box should be up on the channel. If it's not up right now, it will be going up soon. Because in theory this goes live at 10 o'clock on Saturday. I don't know if I'll be filming the unboxing before then. I hope I will, because in theory, but it'll be around soon if it's not around already. So, what have we got? Just before we start, usual disclaimer. This is me rambling through the book, picking out things that I think are of interest and talking through the general look, feel, gist of the rules, and that sort of thing. It's not a tight clipped rules review. There will be plenty of those elsewhere if that is what you're after. So, overall impression of the book. And they've done a good job of the Chaos Knights. I think the Knights, the stratagems, the Warlord Traits, the overall feel of the army is really good. It feels like there are some unnecessary layers of complication in here that don't really... I mean, I haven't played them yet. I should be playing them quite soon. That it doesn't feel like they add anything to anything significant to the experience. I guess I'll find out when I play. Okay, so what have we got in the book? We've got, I'm going to read this bit out. This is nice. With a roar of tortured engines and the scream of insane machine spirits, the dread and towering nobility of extinction descend upon their enemies. Chaos Knights are gigantic and warped abominations of iron, malice and eternal hatred. With earth-shattering strides they annihilate buildings, and with their colossal treads they grind foes into a bloody paste, all while unleashing annihilating firepower from monstrous weapons of ancient origin. A single Chaos Knight is a giant, mobile warsuit many times the height of a man. They are of ancient design, crafted in a dark age to withstand the terrors of the galaxy. Now its power and awesome presence is turned upon any its master wishes. With roars blaring from emitter grills, burning energies and streams of fist-sized shells, it can flatten a fortress by itself and tear through entire formations. Yet few operators, lone hunters, and forces of many worlds have whimpered in fear at the sight of the armies of these predatory giants advancing on their positions. Despoiling behemoths deflect the enemy's fire from their ion shields as they advance inexorably, whilst swifter hunting engines rake their master's victims with ambushing enfilades. The titanic knight suits are piloted by fallen nobles from twisted households, serving the dark wills of the chaos gods from upon their thrones mechanicum. They are heirs of corrupted dynasties or vicious sellswords who seethe with an endless desire to conquer and rule. They hate the Imperium, seeing it as a swathe of weak serfs whose only destiny is to die or to serve in cowering obedience to the dread household's superiority. Their once rigid codes of honour and chivalry have been warped and twisted to selfish and diabolical ends, employed to justify any heinous need. Cool. Right, so we've got an overall bit about Chaos Knights, war engines of ancient origin, etc., etc., and how the corruption of chivalry, how they've gone from being stalwart, upright knights on their steeds to something much more debased and low, and their perspective being so massively warped and jaded. A section on iconoclast households. Iconoclast houses are defined by the malice and madness that led them into corruption. In place of honour, they pursue only conquest, destroying whatever enemies stand before them to expand their tyrannical domains. Many have long histories of depravity that stretch back for thousands of years, though new iconoclast houses can be formed wherever the taint of the warp takes hold. I've got an infernal household in my Chaos Knights, and my plan is to have an iconoclast and an infernal household, and then the 2 imperial ones as well. That's my long-term goal. And a few Dreadblades. Yeah, he says. Infernal houses. Through close ties with the Dark Mechanicum, the infernal houses find ever more twisted ways to warp their weapons and machinery. In brutal campaigns, they strip worlds of their material resources and enslave entire populations, funneling their plunder into nightmarish rituals to infuse their knight suits with the power of chaos. He said in his best B-movie voice. Then we got some narrative, we got some more narrative and some really nice artwork with sort of like Dark Mechanicum acolyte priest type things. Fingers crossed for Dark Mechanicum army. GW, please, 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 please. I don't know which I'd have first. Dark Mechanicum or Eldar Exodites. Then Dreadblades. Similar to Freeblades in Imperial armies. Not all fallen nobles offer fealty or suffer bonded servitude to a dread household. Dreadblades call no one master. These lone knights are perhaps the most dangerous, for their obsessions, insanities and whims are given free rein. They bestride the galaxy as questing despots, fulfilling their cruelest desires while descending into damnation. Double page on heraldry. What icons go where on the suits. Nice. Then we have a little ditty on each of the houses. So, House Lucaris. Of all the iconoclast houses, there are none bolder nor more tenacious than House Lucaris. They have waged multiple barbaric campaigns against the Imperium, butchering those who fight in the Emperor's name in all corners of the galaxy. Over the course of 10,000 years, they have reaped a toll of carnage too high for any single scriptorum to record. House Herspex. No, that's not what it says. Herpetrax. We bow to none. House Herpetrax is an oddity amongst knight houses in that its nobles never swore allegiance to the Imperium. They serve no master beyond their own keep, and instead prey on any world within reach, and any fleet that dares to stray too near to their home world. I wouldn't have thought fleets were a problem. I mean, what do the knights do? They sort of jump into orbit and float around, sort of push off and hope they go past a starship and just go zzz. Being a bit flippant. House Chimerae. Chimerae? Through flames lies the path of to victory. For 10,000 years, the Knights of House Chimerae, I'm going to say Chimerae, have fought ferociously for the glory of the Imperium. Their cracked and burning the cracked and burning surface of their world, Stutter's Wake, was dotted with monolithic statues of the Emperor, towards which the faithful serf classes of the planet prayed for hours a day. That would all change with the emergence of the Great Rift. FNAF. House Korvax. Extinguish the light of hope. From their mist-wreathed keeps on the penumbral planet of Korvosi, the Knights of House Korvax spread the dark corruption of chaos. Misery and fear are their heralds. These dread engines loom out of the cloying shadows that surround them like monolithic spectres. With dirge-like war horns blaring, they close in on their terrified foes, pulverising with deadly salvos of fire and crushing them beneath thunderous charges. I want them all, they're all so cool. I kind of wish I could like magnetise all the shoulder pads and just have like chassis and go, what are they today? Today they are House Vectrix. Click, 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 click. But alas, House Vectrix. Duty is eternal. House Vectrix cling obsessively to their oaths of fealty unto the death, no matter how abhorrent the duty or how fell the means required to meet them. The Knights of Vectrix embrace the corruptive power and the status their unwavering devotions grant them. In doing so, their fallen nobles sink ever deeper into damnation. Now, my personal favourite, House Commentis. The honourless are our prey. The Knights of House Commentis are denounced as twice damned in the eyes of those imperial nobles who have survived their attacks, traitors to the Imperium and symbiotes of demonic powers. Knights of House Commentis are deemed doubly dangerous. These Chaos Knights are hunters of beasts and monstrosities beyond compare, as adept at pursuing warp spawn as they are at hunting the lapdogs of the Imperium. And those are the houses. Then there's a section called Chronicles of Terror, which is some short, I wouldn't call them stories, some short paragraphs about individual knights. There's a few pages of this, some pictures. Then we come into the models and the dioramae. They look very cool. We've got some against Eldar, some against Guard, one against the Admech, more Guard, Necrons. This bad boy is stomping on some Crons. More Admech, Sisters, forward Sisters of the Order of the Bloody Rose. For the Emperor! Yeah, lots of really nice pictures of knights, lots of inspiration, lots of things. That's nice. Oh, that's nice. I could do that. I could do this. It's the reason I'm a magpie, man. My friend Puretide, who's in our Discord, used to say whatever army I was working on depended on the last book I picked up, because I was such a magpie. Right, now we're into the rules. Okay, so Detachment Abilities. War Dog class knights gain obsec. So little baby knights get obsec. Your big knights don't get obsec, which seems a bit odd to me, because if you've got 3 guardsmen standing on an objective and a knight next to them, I know who controls that objective. Or, you know, a handful of Gretchen. Space Marines? Maybe not. Don't know. Feels like the knights should be obsec to me. But hey. And then a bunch of rules that they all get. The Traitor Lances and Fallen Hero abilities. And the detachments get Towering Foes, Traitor Ambitions, and Household Bond abilities. Right, Traitor Lances is basically how you get your command points back and how you organise your army. I'm not going to go into that. Fallen Hero, basically you can take, the gist of this is you can take a Dreadblade in another Chaos army without losing your army abilities. So it introduces the Agents of Chaos keyword. And in the same way as Agents of the Imperium don't make you lose your army abilities, Agents of Chaos don't either, if you just got the one knight. So everyone who's got a Chaos army and wants to add a single knight to it, you can now use all your rules. Which, you know, is nice. I imagine when they did that in the first instance, the sales weren't great. It's like, why aren't we selling the knights? Because they can't use them. Oh, should we make them able to use them? Yes, we should. Towering Foe. Model counts as 5 models for the purposes of controlling an objective marker. If it's Titanic, it counts as 10. So basically your War Dogs are 5 models and OBSEC. Your Knights are 10 and not. Traitorous ambitions. So each household is either an iconoclast household or an infernal household. And you get an ability for each. So all into iconoclast, whenever you charge, move, are charged, or perform a heroic intervention, so CC or HI or Chi-Chi, as I like to call it, you gain +1 attack, and you improve the armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons the model is equipped with by 1. I don't think that's too bad, to be quite honest. I know I have a lot of views on the prevalence of all the AP, but when you're talking about massive Titan killing weapons, then it going from 3 to 4, that's fine. That's orders of magnitude, I think. One moment. Oh, thirsty work. And then the in the infernal households all get demonic surge. In the command phase, you can choose to make a one of your knights demonically surge. If you do, it takes a mortal wound, and you roll a d3 on this table. I'll go through the table in a second. Or if you choose to take d3 mortal wounds, you can select a result from the table. I like always doing this. It's always a laugh. They are still kind of in keeping with the previous rules, but they've tweaked them. So Demonic Hunger is now add 3 to the model's move. Demonic Fortitude is now damage rolls of 1, 2, 3 can't wound the model. And Demonic Power is select one weapon the model is equipped with and then add 1 to the wound roll. That's what that does. Right. Household Bond is basically how you select your rules if you're not one of the main households. Well, no, it's how you it's your faction specific rules, your household specific rules, or how to pick them if you don't have one, and what dread blades get. Then there's a little thing which, okay, on one level it's cool, on another level, why? Is the dreaded abilities. Some of them have got a little icon next to them called dreaded abilities. Dreaded abilities affect units within dread range. At the start of the battle, dread range is 12 inches. There are things later on in the book that can affect dread range. And dreaded abilities are unaffected by rules that affect aura abilities and vice versa. So this is the first example that I can recall of where it's basically an aura ability, but because there are other rules in other books that say, your aura ability can be turned off, or can be reduced, or this, and they go, we don't want to do that for knights. So it's not an aura ability. No. But is it in like a radiating aura around the model? No. It's not an aura. It's a cloak of dread. Yes, it's dread range. Maybe if you hadn't put in the other abilities to turn off the ability that was too powerful in the first place, that I'll move on before I trigger myself. Okay, so the dread households. I'm not going to go through every bit of every household because it would take a while. House Herpetrax is an iconoclast. Does it say iconoclast? Ah, yes, it's an iconoclast household. Their bond, add 2 to the wound characteristic of War Dogs, add 4 to the wound characteristic of Titanic models. So they get more wounds. Their stratagem at the end of the fight phase, potentially do mortal wounds to models nearby. Warlord trait, bow to none. Ignore all modifiers to their characteristic profile, apart from damage on the datasheet. Ignore any modifiers to hit rolls, wound rolls, or damage rolls. Ignore any modifiers to advance or charge rolls. I'm not going to pass comment on that. House Lucaris, Conquerors Without Mercy. Oh, sorry, it's an Iconoclast household. Household Bond, Virtue through Strength. Reroll 1 hit and 1 wound when resolving melee. Stratagem, Trample them. When you make a normal move, after you move, roll a d6 and 1. If you basically you can move across models and stand on them to do mortal wounds. Warlord trait, Strike first, strike often. Gets always strikes first. House Chimera, Iconoclast, Rampant Cruelty. You add 1 to wound if you're attacking a unit that's below half strength. I like that. They're weak, they're scared, get them! Nah. Sorry. Fury of Stutter's Wake is their stratagem. It's a 1 or 2 command point thingy. When you finish a charge move, select an enemy unit within range and roll 4d6 or 6 if it's Titanic. Each result that equals or exceeds the toughness, they suffer a mortal wound. Each roll of 6 is 2 mortal wounds. 1 CP for a war dog, 2 CPs for everything else. House Chimera's fallen nobles have adapted their towering steeds to storing excess heat in specialised combustion chambers as they charge into battle before unleashing it from every vent. Sorry. They've weaponised their cooling system. Sorry. I like them. No, Paul. No. Not yet. Okay, House Vextrix is an Infernal. Titankin Household Bond. Every time you select to shoot, reroll 1 hit and 1 wound. Yeah. Interception Array, 1 CP. Ignore any hit rolls and ballistic skill modifiers. Okay. Warlord trait, Favour of the Dark Mechanicum. If the Warlord is a war dog, add 1 to its wounds. If it's a Titanic, add 2 to its wounds. To start your command phase, Warlord regains D3 wounds. House Commentis. I'm biased, so I'm reading all of these out. Obviously, it's Infernal. Profane Symbiosis. Each time the model uses Demonic Surge, if you inflict 1 mortal wound, you can re-roll the D3 when determining what the Demonic Surge result applies. Nice. If you inflict D3 mortal wounds, select 2 results. I must have missed that in my last read-through. How did I miss that? Encircling Hounds. So this used to be a sort of outflank type stratagem. Now it just sort of dovetails in with strategic reserve rules. It treats the battle round as being 1 higher for strategic reserve, so you can get round your opponent easier. Warlord trait, Dread Hunter. Once per battle, he can make a killing strike. You can reroll to hit with the weapon, reroll to wound with the weapon, and add 1 damage characteristic to the attack. I don't think that's changed. That's a once per battle thing. Relic, Demonic Shrike. House Commentis Terror Shade model only. What's a Terror Shade model? Oh, that'll be a keyword, won't it? That's probably the knight with the new wiggly, arm. The nice abominant. Yeah, Terror Shade. Yeah, okay, so a nice abominant. Select one enemy unit within 18 inches until the end of the turn. Each time a ranged attack. Improve the AP. House Korvax is Infernal. Forged in Terror. Once per battle at the start of any round, you can select one Harbinger ability. We'll get onto those later. From any of those corresponding to the current battle round or any previous battle round, it becomes active for every model in the army, even if every unit from your army does not have the Chaos Knights keyword. Okay. So you can turn an ability on. Knights of Shade. Use this at the start of the movement phase. Select 2 War Dogs or 2 Titanic. They can move horizontally through models and terrain features as if they were not there. Okay, that's nice. They become ethereal. Like Dark Phantoms, the Knights of House Korvax can move through solid walls without hindrance. Cool. And that is, they're the households. So the abilities that you can pick if you've got your own household, there's a list of iconoclast ones and a list of infernal ones. I'm not going to go through them. A Dreadblade can pick one they want. They've done away with the notion of Dreadblades having disadvantages as well as advantages. They've only got the pluses now, which it was a nice bit of. It was characterful, it was nice, but it did mean no one ever used them. That's a bit of simplicity that I'm pleased to see, just from a practicality point of view. The only restriction on here is if you've got a Dreadblade, you can't take the same Fell Bond for a Dreadblade if you've already got that Fell Bond in the rest of your army. So you can't take 5 Dreadblades and give them all Dark Forging. You'd have to give 1 Dark Forging, 1 Warp Vision, 1 Unhallowed Inscriptions, 1 Biomechanical Fusion, etc. Okay, we're into stratagems. Okay, Break the Lines, 1 CP, Iconoclast. Add 1 to attack in melee if you charged. Hungry for Combat, it's a War Dog 1. A unmodified hit roll of 6 always wounds in melee. Pack Hunters. Okay, if you've got a bunch of War Dogs near each other, they can all gain bonus attacks. Skies of Fire. Shooting at aircraft. Murder Bliss. Using the fight phase when a Chaos Knight Slanesh model is selected to fight. Enemy unit that contains 6 or more models. Add 1 to the attack characteristic. 11 or more models. Add 2 to the attack characteristic. So more attacks, the more you're fighting. Tormented Wrath. 6 explode on shooting. 2 CP. Crushed like Vermin. Use the strategy in the fight phase when a Titanic Chaos Knight model selects to fight. Until the end of the fight phase, it's a Titanic feat, -1 to hit, but for every successful hit, unless it's a monster or a vehicle, you take 2 mortal wounds and the sequence ends. Right, okay, so it's changing the 2 damage weapon into 2 mortal wounds, so you can simultaneously tread on 2 orcs rather than just 1 orc. Vengeful Outcasts. Add 1 to wound in the fight phase against Imperial Knights. Trail of Destruction. If you're targeting a unit that's in range of an objective marker, reroll 1 to hit when you shoot. Unyielding Rage. -1 damage. So you take less damage in the fight phase. Then what we got? Titanic Duel. Okay, something about this looks complicated. Something about having a duel with another knight. Oh, I've got to read it now. Use the strategy in the fight phase when a Chaos Knight's model from your army selects to fight. Select one enemy Titanic unit that is within engagement range of that model. You and your opponent secretly choose a number from 1 to 3 on a d6. Then reveal your choices simultaneously. If they differ until the end of that phase, add the number you chose to the attack's characteristic of your Chaos Knight's model. Okay. Besiege the Dark Gods. When a Chaos Knight's Pantheon Undivided model from your army is destroyed, so they've reintroduced the concept of Chaos Undivided. I assume that synergizes with the Chaos Marine Codex that we're supposed to be getting at some point before the end of time. Maybe. Oh, okay. It's when you die, you can on a 4+, you can get back with 4 wound with 3 wounds remaining. Abominable Construction. This is Power of the Machine Spirit. Doom and Despair. Okay, reading this makes me think I've fundamentally misunderstood the Harbinger abilities. One moment. No, I haven't misread it. That just doesn't make any sense. I must be misreading the command point. What? I might have to skip this and let you read it for yourselves if you eventually get the book. No, I don't get this. It makes no sense whatsoever. So, use the strategy at the start of the 3rd, 4th or 5th battle round. If your Warlord is on the battlefield, select one Harbinger ability from any previous battle round. Whilst your Warlord is on the battlefield, the ability is active for every Chaos Knight's model in your army. You can only use the stratagem if every unit has the Chaos Knight's keyword, excluding units with unaligned or Aegis of Chaos. Okay, but in the Harbinger's ability, if every unit in your army has the Chaos Knight's keyword, at the start of each battle round you must select one Harbinger ability. Oh, okay, so... right, yes, no, yes, no, yes. So the Harbinger abilities, each round you get to pick an ability and it stays active for the rest of the battle. And there's a list of 3 to pick from. So this stratagem is for 2 CP. You can go back, find one you haven't picked, and activate that as well. Now it makes sense. If only it said that. Death Grip. Oh, this is another one that's with the wording. In the fight phase, when an attack is made with a Warp Strike Claw or a Slaughter Claw or a relic that replaces healing by a Chaos Knight's model that's allocated to an enemy model, before the saving throw is taken, both players roll off. If you win the roll-off, invulnerable saves cannot be taken against that attack. Otherwise, the damage characteristic of that attack is 0. Okay. I'm going to skip over a couple of these. They all look similarly verbose. Then we've got the get an extra Warlord trait, get an extra relic, become a character. Chosen by the gods. Okay, this looks a bit different. Used before the battle when you're mustering your army. Select one Chaos Knight from your model from your army that does not have the favour of the Dark Gods. What the hell's that? Oh, right, yeah, okay. That you haven't already upgraded with the abilities that we're going to come on to in a minute. That model gains one of the following keywords. Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh, Pantheon, Undivided. Oh, okay, and if you try and put it onto a knight that's a Psyker, then it loses the... If you try and put Khorne onto a knight that's a Psyker, why you would do that? I mean, its weapon skill is improved by 1, its attack characteristic is improved by 1. Right, okay. So, if you haven't already buffed it with something else, you can take a knight and make it stronger. Okay, bind the souls of the slain. This is a way of infernal households regaining wounds when you kill things in melee. Hunting hounds. This is your war dogs can run off the side of the battlefield and go to strategic reserves. A long leash. Pick a war dog, pick a knight, and for the rest of the turn, the war dog is considered to be in range of the aura abilities of the knight. Some of the knights buff war dogs, so you put your dog on a long leash and it gains the ability. Touch derisory. I'm not sure how happy they would be with that comparison, but you know, ho hum. Unleash the Hounds. After a war dog finishes a charge move, other war dogs can charge the same unit, reroll a charge. I think that's what it says. Wrath Surge. It's a way of triggering Perils of the Warp if psychic powers are cast near a Knight of Khorne. Harrying Hunter, so war dogs can fall back and charge and shoot. Reap and Rend. Some kind of melee bonus. Diabolic Bulwark. In your opponent's shooting phase, you gain a 4+ vulnerable save. Infernal Aegis. Select a Tyrant class army. At the end of the turn, they gain the Infernal Aegis aura. War dogs within 6 inches have 4+ vulnerable saves. Macabre Projectiles. Select a Chaos Knight model from your army equipped with the Warp Strike Claw. Oh, you can throw something you've killed at a nearby enemy unit. Ravenous Terror Shades. Using morale phase, select an enemy unit within dread range of a Terror Shade model. It must take a dread test, which is an old-fashioned break test. If the test is failed, the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound for each point their dread test was failed by, to a maximum of 6. Did it say what dread tests are here, or is it left out for my imagination later on? I think that's later on. Sorcerer's Ammunition. This is the Tzeentch one. Shooting phase. Automatically wounds psychers. And the unit must make a dread test. Tip power of the warp. Right. So. Oh, this bit makes me feel tired just looking at it. So, the Favour of the Dark Gods is a section of upgrades you can give to knights. There's 5 different types, and there's 3 in each. It's the 4 main gods and Mark of Pantheon Undivided. They have variable costs depending on what class you put them on. So, War Dog class is cheaper than an Abhorrent class, and well, I say it's cheaper. The Tyrant classes actually on a lot of these, some of these are lower. So the Cursed of Ruined Fate, for example, is the Tyrant class is 50 points, so it's more than the Abhorrent class, which is 35. But when looking at the Throne Mechanicum of Skulls, it goes 15 for War Dog, 25 for Abhorrent, 15 for Tyrant. So obviously that what they do varies. The efficacy of the bonus isn't always better on a more expensive knight. And they're all pretty cool. They all do really cool stuff. They're very verbose. But this is the bit that spins my noodle. What was it? Oh, the thing that'll really bake your noggin. Yeah. So would you have broken it if I hadn't told you? Yeah. Bake your noodle. No, I can't remember what it was. Can't remember a quote. You can own that, so you get 2 types of ability with each one. You get the general ability and then the favoured ability. The favoured ability only activates when you have caught the sight of the gods and your offering is deemed worthy. You have to keep a tally of how many wounds the model inflicts on the enemy. To models that die. It doesn't matter if models just get wounded. So when a model is destroyed, you add their wounds characteristic to the tally for that model. And then when you get to a predetermined number, the favoured ability becomes active. I mean, the housekeeping on this just feels... It doesn't feel like it adds anything for me, the amount of housekeeping this gives. And, you know, killing 5 grots is not going to be the same offering as killing a Space Marine captain. Same wounds, give or take. So, I don't think it works on a narrative level, personally. So, War Dogs have to get to a tally of 5. Abhorrents have to get to a tally of 10. And Tyrants have to get to a tally of 15 to activate the favoured ability. So, some examples. Pyrothrone is a Tzeentch one. Model against the Tzeentch keyword, so you get access to the Tzeentch stratagem. If the model is not a Knight Abominant, it gains the Psyker keyword. It took me ages to work out why it was worded this way. Basically, Knight Abominants are already Psykers. So the Knight becomes a Psyker and knows 1 smite, smite and 1 power from the Warp Storm discipline. If it is, it gains an if it is a Knight Abominant, it gains an additional psychic power and can cast an additional one. The favoured ability, in each of your psychic phases, you can re-roll one psychic test taken for the model. So one of the corn, I'll do one of each. Thrown Mechanicum of Skulls, model gains the corn keyword. Re-roll charges. If the model is a Knight Abominant, it loses the psychic keyword, but its weapon skill is improved by 1, its attack characteristic is improved by 1. Favoured ability. Each time the model makes a melee attack and a modified roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit, which you need to activate by having killed X number of wounds worth of whatever. The Blessing of 1,000 Poxes, model gains the Nurgle keyword. Each time the model makes a melee attack and a modified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. Favoured ability. Each time the model makes a ranged attack and a modified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. Beguiling Majesty, model gains the Slanesh keyword. Each time a melee attack is made against the model, subtract 1 from the hit roll and subtract 1 from the attack's wound roll. Because, it's so pretty. Stab. Favoured ability. Model gains the following ability. Beguiling Majesty. Aura. Whilst an enemy unit is within 6 inches of the model, subtract 1 from the attack characteristic of the model in that unit. Oh, it's so pretty. I've forgotten how to stab. Then the Pantheon Undivided. Mark of the Dread Knight. Model gains the Pantheon Undivided keyword. Each time the model would lose a wound on a 6, roll a dice, and on a 6 it is not lost. Favoured ability. Each time the model would lose a wound, roll a dice, and on a 5+, the wound is not lost. So, they're cool, but Brain's gonna... the housekeeping! The housekeeping! This is what I mean when I said earlier that it's a really cool book and there's some really nice stuff, but... Okay, Warlord Traits. Eager for the kill, add 1 to advance and charge rolls. When your Warlord is in your opponent's deployment zone, add 1 to its attack characteristic. Nice. Harbinger of Scrap Code. In the morale phase, select an enemy vehicle within 18 inches of the Warlord. The unit must take a dread test. If the test is failed... Let me look up how the dread test is taken. It's 2d6. Oh yeah, it is. It's a leadership test. Roll 2d6 if it exceeds the leadership value of the unit. It's a leadership test. So rather than having leadership tests as a core mechanic in the game, they... if it fails the test, it suffers 3 mortal wounds. Start the next morale phase. It's considered to be on half its wounds for the purposes of its profile. Knight Diabolus. Add 1 to Warlord's attack characteristic. Each time the Warlord makes a melee attack, reroll hit rolls of 1. Infernal Quest. Warlord has the Obsec ability. A few of those. Warp Storm Discipline. Odd or even? Odd or even? I'll read your mind. You said odd. Winds of the Warp. Blessing Aura. Cast on a 6. If the cycle loses a wound, it shrugs it on a 5. If the result of the psychic test was 8 inches or more, friendly war dogs within 6 inches shrug wounds on a 6. 3. The Storm Malevolent. Warp charge value of 7. Select an enemy unit within 18 inches. Each time a Chaos Knight makes an attack against that unit, add 1 to wound. Modified 6s to wound. They suffer a mortal wound as well. Maximum of whatever. Coruscating Hate. Witchfire. Warp charge value of 6. Closest enemy unit within 18. Invisible. D3 mortal wounds. Then roll a D6 on a 2 to 3. The other closest enemy unit within 6 inches and visible suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 4+, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. Coruscating Hate. It jumps. Then we're into Relics. There's 3 pages of Relics. Helm of Warp Sight. Ignore all hit roll and ballistic skill modifiers. Target does not receive benefit of cover. The Tyrant's Banner. Abhorrent class only. Add 3 inches to the range of the bearer's aura abilities. And then the ability to generate command points. Oh, okay. Another rule that's just overwritten. Start of each of your command phases, the bearers in the battlefield roll a d6 and a 5+, you gain a command point. The limit of gaining or refunding 1 command point per battle round does not apply to any command points gained via this relic. Maybe they shouldn't have written that into the core mechanic then. Chapter approved. Now, Crusade. Now, don't do either of these. Right. Now we're nearly into the Knights. Nearly. Nearly. Okay. Some things about how to pick your army, which I'm not going to go into. Oh, it's all about the shenanigans of the keywords with your different households, and they must all be from the same shenanigans or super duper who'd you what's its, and abilities. Iron Shields are 5+ invulnerable saves. Notably, there was no rotate Iron Shields in the stratagems. Super Heavy Walker. Model is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Each time it makes a normal move, advances or falls back, it can move across other models, excluding monsters and vehicles as if they were not there. War Dog Squadron. First time set up on the battlefield, it contains more than one model. Each must be set up with 6 inches of another. From that point onwards, they operate independently. Right. The Harbingers of Dread. This is the rule I alluded to earlier, where in each battle round you pick an ability. And there are 3 categories. There's Despair, Doom, and Darkness. Which ability you pick in each battle round, these are cumulative, so you pick one in round 1, round 2, round 3, and they all stay active for the rest of the battle. What you pick each round depends on what you picked the previous round. If you picked Darkness last time, you may pick either Darkness this time or Doom. If you picked Doom last time, you may pick Darkness, Doom, or Despair. If you picked Despair last time, you can pick Despair or Doom. Basically, you can pick whatever you want, but if you picked Darkness last time, you can't pick Despair this time, and vice versa. So, there's no Despair for round 1, and there's only Doom in round 1, and there's only Doom in round 5. Dread Host. So this is, it's got the little dread symbol next to it, so it affects anything in dread range. -1 leadership from anything in dread range. -1 to combat attrition from anything in dread range. So that's pretty nasty. And the battle round 2 ones. So Doom is Encroaching Doom, adds 3 to the model's dread range. So dread range can go up to 15 at that point. The Despair is Creeping Dismay. If an enemy unit has any aura abilities, subtract 3 from the range of the aura abilities. And command and similar, yeah. There's some words there that I'm not going to spend the time reading, but it's basically aura abilities or similar, pick one within X number of inches rather than it affects all of them. The Darkness one is the Geist Storm. Again, it affects things in dread range. Each time an enemy unit wishes to declare a shoot or charge, must take a dread test. If it's failed, they can only charge the closest enemy knight if they're going to shoot, and it halves charge ranges. And these kind of go on in a similar vein. I mean, there's one here that paralyzing insanity, your opponent loses the obsec if it's in dread range. Which I guess paralyzing insanity is, it kind of counters out the fact that your knights, apart from the war dogs, don't have it. A lot of this stuff tinkers with morale and combat attrition. The Harbingers of Dread, it's basically, yeah, it's all that kind of stuff. Right, now we are into the profiles. So, War Dog Executioner, this is fairly standard. So the War Dogs, he said, looking at the page, are they all on the one page, or are there someone... So the War Dogs all appear to be toughness 7, 12 wounds with a 3+ save. So there's that. The Executioner is the one with the 2 autocannons, which are heavy 2d3, strength 7 -2, 3 damage. Nothing particularly special about it. 12-inch move. I think the War Dog Huntsmen are the so you used to have the Executioner with the autocannon to the one with the Melter spear. So the Huntsman is the other one with the Melter spear. The spear is 30-inch, heavy 2, 9 -4 d6, +2 damage for being in half range. Nothing particularly special about it. Oh, the Reaper Chain Talon is strength 10 -4, 3 damage with its 4 attacks, or you can make 2 attacks and it's strength 6 -3, 1 damage. 2 attacks per 1. Then you've got the 3 new combinations based on the new kit. So the War Dog Stalker has an Avenger Chain Cannon, a Havoc Multi-Launcher and a Slaughter Claw. So the Avenger Chain Cannon, Assault 12, Strength 6, -2, 1 damage. The Havoc Multi-Launcher is an old Havoc Launcher, so heavy D6, Strength 5, no AP, 1 damage. The Slaughter Claw, I can't stop the thing on the computer beeping. I do apologise. I don't know how computers work. I work in IT, by the way. Just put that out there. Because everyone always points it out whenever I say I don't know how computers work. I might as well own it. The Slaughter Claw, strength times 2, so strength 12, -3, D3 +3 damage. The Slaughter Claw is a... it's not as good at killing hordes, but it's crunchier rather than slicier. Then the War Dog Carnivore. This has an extra 2 points of move and an extra attack. And it's got the Reaper Chain Talon and the Slaughter Claw, so it's got the choice of either. And the Havoc Multi-Launcher, which is nice. Then the Brigand has got the 2 guns, so it's got the Dragon's Breath Spear and the Avenger Chain Cannon. Okay, so basically the new kit's got interchangeable pieces and you can chop, change and things. I haven't unboxed the box yet, but I assume that the arms are all interchangeable, so you can do these 5 combinations now. And hopefully they're all in one kit rather than it having... So you used to have to buy a box of Armiger, Hellglaives and a bunch of Armiger, Armigers and Hell... They were separate. Words not working. Okay, so Knight Despoiler has an aura ability, Dread Dominion. Lets war dogs that are within 9 inches of him heroically intervene as if they were characters. Ah! Yeah, strength, toughness 8, 24 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9, 3 plus save. Why they don't have a 2 plus save? Well, it's just game mechanics, isn't it? It's rules balancing rather than anything else. I mean, if anything should have a 2 plus save, it's a knight. Reaper Chainsword. Strength plus 6, minus 4, 6 damage. I think that's what it was before. Or Sweep, which it didn't have earlier. User minus 3, 2 damage. Make 3 attacks instead of 1 per attack on the profile. Because Titanic Feet do not have the tap dancing thing anymore. It's just 1 attack per attack, which is good. Your close combat knights are doing the close combat. These shooty knights are going to have to resort to standing on people, and that shouldn't be better than slicing through them with your Titan killing weapon. So I like that. That tick is approved by me. The Warp Strike Claw. Sorry. Strength times 2. So 16. Minus 3. 8 damage. If you strike and if you sweep, it's strength plus 2, so strength 10. Minus 2, 3 damage, and make 2 attacks. Ooh. Ooh. The Knight Desecrator. The Desecrator Laser Destructor. Heavy 2. Strength 14, minus 5. D3 plus 6 damage. Snazzy. It has a Reaper Chainsword as well. Taskmaster, special rule. War Dogs within 9 inches reroll hit rolls of 1. Nice. Right, Knight Rampager has the Warp Strike Claw, the Reaper Chainsword. Frenzied Rampager. So the different classes all have different auras. War Dogs reroll 1s in melee. Sorry, the Desecrator was shooting 1s. This is melee 1s. Knight Abominant is a Psyker. Knows 1. Sorry, casts 1. No, I'm not even reading it right. Casts 2, knows 2. Doesn't have a special rule because it's a Psyker. It's Volkite Combustor. Heavy 6, strength 10, minus 1 to 3 damage. If your modified wound roll is a 6, it inflicts D3 mortal wounds in addition. The Bale Mace, the Electro Scourge. Oh, I didn't realise there were 2 options for the... Must unbox this. The Bale Mace, strength user, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. Make an extra D3 attacks. Yeah. The Electro... Oh, it has the Bale Mace in addition to the Electro Scourge. Okay. So it's an extra D3 attacks. The Electro Scourge is user, minus 2, 3 damage. Make 3 attack rolls instead of 1. Nicety nice. Then we have, last but by no means least, we have the Knight Tyrant. Doesn't have any special rules. The Ectoplasma Decimator. Standard, heavy 2d6, strength 8, minus 4, 2 damage, blast. Supercharge, strength 9, an extra point of damage, and can do mortal wounds to itself. The Geist Strike Missile is a ignores invulnerable saves, strength heavy 1, strength 10, minus 4 d6 once per battle. The Twin Dragon Breath Melter Gun. Assault 2, 8 minus 4 d6, half range damage plus 2. Oh, that's the Carapace weapon. Sorry, I wanted to be on the Twin Destructor Cannon, I think. Heavy... oh, right, yeah, okay. Heavy 2d3... oh, it's an autocannon. It's an autocannon. Okay, cool. I missed anything? Ectoplasma Decimator, Dragon's Breath Melters, Desiccator Cannons. Doesn't feel like all the weapon profiles are on here. with a Brimstone Volcano lance. And it's there, it's hiding at the top, I was about to be really salty and say, well, why haven't they put it on the profile then? Well, they have, I just can't read it then. Or see it even. Brimstone Volcano lance, 80-inch range, heavy D3, strength 16, AP -5, D6 plus 8 damage, blast. I think blast is somewhat superfluous on that. Yowzers. That could one-shot a knight, which it should be able to, so that's cool. What about points? Do we care about the points? We obviously care about the points. But... So, the Knight Despoiler is... so roughly speaking, all the War Dogs are circa 150 points, give or take. Knight Desecrator's 400, the Rampager's 400, the Abominant's 430. The Tyrant is just a little over 600 when you've got the add-ons. The Despoiler has lots of choices. The two main weapons are roughly 50 points each. One of them's 60, one of them's 40, a couple of them are 50. And it's 375 points base, so you're talking about 475 when you've got the two weapons on there as well. So roughly 500 points. And that is the end of that. I think it's a really good book. I think there are some I have some frustrations, as you may have gathered. Some of those are with Ninth Ed. The bit that I'm really not sure about is the housekeeping you've got to do with the upgrades, when you've got to keep account of how many wounds they've caused. I'm not sure how well that's going to work if you've got an army full of these things. I don't know, but that remains to be seen. I hope the cards have got the cards for those dread abilities, so you can sort of stack them up per thing. I need to check that in the box when I unbox the box. But there's some nice stuff in there. There's some characterful stuff in there. There's some nice artwork. There's some nice stories. And I think the rules are pretty fitting. I like that if you've got a close combat knight, they are better than a non-close combat knight that just has feet. That is good. The weapons seem to be appropriately punchy. And there are a few really cool things in there, even if there is still some real verbosity in there to deal with the Ninth Ed way of things. But yeah, good book. Once again, thank you for GW for sending that out for the reviewage. Big shout out to my channel members for supporting me. It is very much appreciated. If you want to support me, you could become a channel member. You could do something as simple as, if you shop at Element Games, you could use my affiliate link, which is in the description. That tells me you come from me and I get commission, which is super nice. So if you're going to shop there anyway, that could help. But you know, a like, a subscribe, or you know, even watching the advert is all helpful. So once again, thank you to everyone out there. Thank you to all my friends and supporters. Take care, everyone. We shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.